In the last 2 days, there are shocking instances of cops being mowed down by vehicles that have now come to light. There are 3 police officers in 3 different locations across the country that have been brutally killed in such a fashion. They were killed for nothing more than doing their honest day's job. There was DSP Surendra Singh, who was killed by the mining mafia in Haryana yesterday. There was then Sub-Inspector Sandhya Topno, who was crushed to death in an attempt to stop cattle trafficking. And just hours ago, there was a constable by the name of Kiran Raj who was mowed down brutally by a vehicle in Gujarat's Bursad area. Anytime there is a problem in the country, from a loot to violence to riots, we blame it on our cops. We hold our cops accountable and to higher standards. We stereotype them, but it is these honest officers, the whistleblowers, who actually are doing an honest day's work. They are so close to disrupting the nexuses, whether it is the mining nexus, whether it is the smuggling nexus, and they are killed for outing these individuals who have strong connections within the political establishment, within these lobbies that are actually also earning millions and millions of rupees through this massive illegal trafficking, sand mining, drug trafficking that continues to take place unabated in our country. Let's open up this discussion and find out if there could perhaps be a solution to save the lives of these cops. Of course, there are going to be posthumous awards and medals that are going to be provided, but how can we save the lives of these cops who are actually courageous enough? Amongst the thousands that are recruited, perhaps a handful of them who are patriotic enough, courageous enough, honest enough in doing their duty, in exposing these mafias that are involved, the smuggling that takes place, the illegal activities and crores of rupees that are being misappropriated or smuggled or pocketed into the coffers of the high and mighty and these agents and the lals. And what can be a solution? Who is going to then take accountability for these individuals, for these brave men? SP Vaid, former DGP, Jammu and Kashmir, joins me on the broadcast. SP Vaid, it's disheartening to know that in the last 24 hours, there are 3 cops that were just on the verge of exposing various of these illegal activities, the sand mafia, the cattle trafficking. They all were snuffed simply because they were the whistleblowers. They were going to out this nexus. SP Vaid, please unmute yourself. Do we have SP Vaid? All right, while SP Vaid finishes his conversation on his phone, SP Vaid, if you've been able to finish your conversation and can join us on the broadcast, are you able to hear me? Okay. While SP Vaid finishes his phone conversation and gets back.
I'm able to hear you.
Okay, here he is. All right, SP Vaid. My question to you, sir, how can we then encourage police officers, youth, to join the police force and do an honest, courageous job when the fate of police personnel is this? They are killed, they are mowed down, they are silenced because they are the whistleblowers, they are reporting what is going wrong in our country.
Absolutely, I agree with you, and I think this smacks of the of a general perception that there is no fear of law. There is no fear of law enforcing and enforcing agencies in the country, and failure of criminal justice system, because these criminals have these mafias have the backing of political bigwigs in their respective states. They have the backing of black money. they can they know that cases prolonged for 20-25 years in the country, and they can fight their cases with a battery of lawyers. So I think a serious look into the criminal justice system, which includes the investigation, prosecution, and the courts, is required. But I also would like to make a point here that this also indicates that there is poor supervision, because I personally have during my career seen many places where we had to intercept movement of terrorists. I think the proper SOP should have been followed. When you know, particularly Bihar case, where that lady sub-inspector has been mowed down, there was information that this gang is moving with bovine animals. The proper SOP is they should have physical barrier, parking vehicles on the road and taking position with a cover if the suspected vehicle tries to hit the block, whatever is blocking the road, then fire should be on the tires of the vehicle. I think proper SOP has not been followed. I was seeing reports of these 3 states. That is the job of supervisory officers.
Okay, that's one thing, SP Vaid. Proper SOPs perhaps have not been followed. But is this as superficial an issue that can be resolved with the guidelines that need to be followed, Ved Bhushan ji? Or is the issue much more deep-seated than this? Because there's crores of money that is involved, it is illegal, there have to be political NOCs that need to be provided, there have to be political links that are then going to emerge, there are powerful people over here, and anybody who tries to whistleblow the entire charade is then going to be snuffed. Well, that's your fate.
ये इतना बड़ा नेक्सस है, ब्यूरोक्रेट्स, पॉलिटिशियंस, पुलिस ऑफिसर, उसको ब्रेक करना आसान काम नहीं है। अभी आपको याद होगा आईएएस ऑफिसर जो टॉपर थी, 21 करोड़ रुपया उनके घर से निकले था, उनके हस्बैंड चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट थे
जी।
आपको याद होगा दिल्ली में नोएडा के पास एक शक्ति नाम से एक मैडम थी, एसडीएम ऑफिसर थी, उन्होंने माइनिंग को लेकर कुछ ज्यादा एक्शन लिया, किस तरह उस टाइम की सरकारों ने उनके साथ क्या बिहेव किया आपको अच्छी तरह याद है। इसके अलावा जो जिस तरह से इतने तरह के ऑयल माफिया है, सैंड माफिया है, कैटल माफिया है, कोल गेट आपने देखा जिसमें देन प्राइम मिनिस्टर को भी नोटिस किया गया, सम्मन किया गया कोर्ट से, क्योंकि इसके अंदर बहुत मोटा हजारों सैकड़ों करोड़ रुपया इन्वॉल्व होता है और बहुत सारे पॉलिटिशियंस का पैसा भी इसमें इन्वॉल्व होता है। वो अपनी मसल पावर का भी इस्तेमाल करते हैं और पॉलिटिकल इन्फ्लुएंस का भी पावर इस्तेमाल करते हैं। अभी वैद साहब ने बिल्कुल आपको क्लियर बताया, इट्स ए बिग नेक्सस। और माइनिंग हमेशा एक लुक्रेटिव बिजनेस रहा है अक्रॉस इंडिया। जो भी मिनिस्टर्स रहे हैं या उसके अंदर जो बड़े बड़े ब्यूरोक्रेट्स हैं, उनकी पोस्टिंग उनके लिए बड़ी लुक्रेटिव मानी जाती है। इसके पीछे कोई ना कोई तो वजह होगी और वजह और केवल पैसा है, जिस वजह से तमाम चीजें उनको लुभाती हैं और वो उसके लिए किसी भी एक्सटेंट तक जा सकते हैं। अभी आपने नू मेवात का बताया जिसमें डीएसपी को डंपर से कुचलकर मार डाला गया। नू मेवात वो एरिया है जहां पर बहुत बड़ी तादाद के अंदर कैटल की स्मगलिंग होती थी दिल्ली के अंदर, जिसको चेक करना दिल्ली पुलिस के लिए, हरियाणा पुलिस के लिए बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज था। उसके अलावा अभी आपने देखा वहां स्टोन्स, जितने भी अरावली की पहाड़ियां थी, सब वो खत्म हो गई धीरे धीरे, और तमाम जो पॉलिटिशियंस सब और पुलिस के नीचे भी हो रहा था। और उसमें कहीं ना कहीं पुलिस का भी, मैं बिल्कुल इसको स्पष्ट कहना चाहता हूं, कहीं ना कहीं कनाइवेंस थी, अदरवाइज ऐसा नहीं हो सकता। चाहे वो बड़े लेवल का स्टाफ हो, छोटे लेवल का स्टाफ हो, कहीं ना कहीं इसी लेवल पर पुलिस के अंदर भी ब्लैक शिप्स हैं जो इस तरह के लोगों को प्रोटेक्शन देते हैं। अदरवाइज पुलिस यदि डिसाइड कर ले, डिटरमाइन कर ले कि मुझे इस नेक्सस को क्रैक करना है और नहीं चलने देना है, तो नहीं चल पाएगा। और बहुत से ऐसे ईमानदार और डेडिकेटेड ऑफिसर थे अक्रॉस इंडिया, चाहे झारखंड, उड़ीसा और तमाम जहां जहां माइनिंग्स होती हैं वहां पर वो कामयाब हुए। हालांकि बड़ी दिक्कतों का सामना करना पड़ता है ईमानदार ऑफिसर को और डेडिकेटेड ऑफिसर्स को। इस वजह से बहुत सारे ऑफिसर्स स्टेट एक्शन लेने में घबराते हैं। आपको याद होगा मुरैना के अंदर एक 30 इयर्स के आईएएस ऑफिसर जिनके ससुर दिल्ली पुलिस में सब इंस्पेक्टर थे, किस तरह से उनको मार दिया गया। उनकी बीवी भी आईएएस है, अब वो बेचारी अपने बच्चे के साथ में दिल्ली रह रही हैं, अकेले रह रही हैं। तो ये तमाम चीजें एक यदि टोटलिटी के अंदर देखा जाए तो एक बहुत बड़ा नेक्सस है जिसको क्रैक करने के लिए बहुत बड़ी शक्ति, इच्छा शक्ति चाहिए, पॉलिटिकल विल चाहिए, क्योंकि चाहे कांग्रेस, बीजेपी, आम आदमी पार्टी, कहीं ना कहीं इनके तार तमाम के आपस में कनेक्टेड है, पर इस बारे में ये कोई बात नहीं करते हैं, क्योंकि उनकी मजबूरी है कि यदि वो बात करेंगे तो दोनों एक दूसरे को एक्सपोज
करेंगे। ऑब्वियसली तो उनकी बेहतरी में है, इट इज इन देयर एडवांटेज, बोथ द पॉलिटिकल क्लास, the police personnel and these touts that then function, those who function and allow for this illegal mining, illegal activities, trafficking to take place. Ellen Rao, get into the conversation. What is the alternative? Are we then going to sit as the citizens of the country and watch the tamasha as one police officer after another gets killed for his honesty and courageous nature? Or should there then be some legalities that need to be changed, perhaps some amendments that need to be brought about? There needs to be the police force that needs to come under the ambit of a special rule, of a special law that is not going to be able, then the political class, the muscle and the money power cannot touch these police officers. How the army functions, the armed forces functions, the navy, the air force, could there be something stringent a rule as that could be applied then for the police force as well, and so that the police forces do not remain mere tools of the political parties that are in dispensation in that particular state?
Yes, ma'am, the possibility of nexus between the politicians and the mafia, that cannot be ruled out, and police is always in between them. Then police has to be independent in our system. Unless and until the police is doing their job independently, I don't think that there is going to any change in that. Mr. Ved Bhushan has explained all the incidents which have been recently occurred, which are very serious in nature, and that the politicians need to mend their ways, and unless and until there is a will, political will, I don't think that this thing will stop in future also, because there is a huge amount involved in these mafias and all other dealings with these politicians and politics. Mainly, the main reason is that election is being fought with a huge amount of money, and that money is procured by these politicians through these mafias, and that's why the mafias are getting protection in that. And the political leaders, whosoever may be the party, has rightly said that irrespective of any political party, they get patronized by the politicians, because at the end of the day they want money to fight their elections, and they want money to buy the political, to buy the MLAs, to win their power, to win their chair of the CM and other lucrative posts. This is the only way out, that unless and until we mend our rules and regulation. And one more thing that is that Supreme Court has time and again said that the curtain, these criminals who are involved in serious cases, they should not be allowed to fight elections. And the most important thing, that our public, who are the voters, they should see who are the bosses are being elected by them.
Okay.
Do they have any political...
Okay. Political links, political lineage, political connections, backing, etc., etc. There needs to be complete transparency, and there need to be demarcations and divisions, clear-cut ones at that need to be put forth. Whose responsibility is it going to be the Election Commission? Lakshmi Narayanan, a case comes to mind over the Sushant Singh Rajput mysterious death plot. I think one of the officers who was from Bihar was then given a ticket to fight the election. So it's the same thing that is being referred to by Ellen Rao. I'm desperately trying to seek a solution over here, because these 3 deaths, for instance, have happened in the last 48 hours. There have been several instances that have been given by the rest of the panelists as well. We had quite forgotten about all those things as well. Now, as days pass by, there are of course going to be probes and investigations that are going to take place. But till the time this is fresh and on the television screens and in the newspapers, it's news. After a few days, the officers are going to become lax. Perhaps the media is not going to take this as fervently as it is taking it right now. and the case is then going to be buried very, very conveniently for all the parties that are involved. How do we rectify this?
Well, in fact, the speakers who has spoken so far have given one or the other aspect of the true story. There is no doubt it is an excess, it is a money, it is a politicization of the criminals. All these things exist. Nevertheless, the first thing that comes to my mind is the fear of law has departed from the hearts of the people only because that the cases take several years to be completed in court of law. This is the first important reason that the people do not fear law. In the previous cases in which these cops were killed or were beaten, no decision has come so far. All are still pending in the court. So why the people should bother about the cops? Because for them they don't value. They easily get transferred by the mafia's wills. The politicians do it. We have several examples in which the transfer of the cop was conducted only on the wish of a mafia. And there are several political leaders also who are themselves a mafia. You know them. So what happens is, what is required at present is that first of all, we should try that such cases are tried and final judgments are delivered within 3 months. Once this process starts, it will have its effect on this situation. Definitely, the law and order will improve. The mafia and whosoever criminals will at least fear the law, that there is something, and the senior officers should monitor all such cases in details. And senior officers should also take up all these cases with these political leaders also, that no, at this juncture, we cannot support you unless and until he gets the justice. So these are a few things. Everything is there necessarily important. It may be, it is in excess. Definitely it is in excess. It is a politicization of criminals. Everybody knows about all this. So all these rules should be need an amendment, number one. And the judicial process has to be expedited.
Okay.
This is very important.
Okay, SP Vaid, I'm going to come to you and I'm going to give this example of what has recently happened in Punjab, the Moosawala murder and the political links that have come out, the entire nexus of these musicians and these lobbyists and these gundas and the politicians all coming together for these shootouts and killings that have taken place. And they've not just limited to Punjab and certain districts of Punjab, but have far-reaching impact in Canada, in Australia, where one of these managers and aides has fled off to. Now, when you have so much power and so much potency in terms of all that you can do by way of your position, by way of your influence, by way of the muscle power, by way of the money, is there a way to clearly demarcate that, listen, if there is an individual in the police force, if he does enter into the political sphere of life, there is going to be massive scrutiny. And if at all there is massive scrutiny, is there then guidelines and SOPs that can be built by the Election Commission, by our central agencies, by our judiciary, like the example that has been given by the previous panelists, that fast trial cases need to take place in the last 3 accidents. I'm not going to call them accidents, murders, conspiracy attacks that have taken place on these 3 individuals. Then we are brought to light, and do not lose steam because there is no political will or police will to fulfill them to the right conclusion.
See, in this country, more than 35,000 policemen have laid down their life for maintaining peace, law and order in this country since independence. This is many, many times more than 3 wars the Indian Army fought, the numbers they have lost. You can imagine the amount of price Indian police is paying just to ensure that law and order and internal security is maintained in this country. As far as mafia and underworld is concerned, it has roots all across the country in most of the states, and underworld and mafia have international connections. You yourself were mentioning whether it is Canada, UK, UAE, Pakistan. That is why I was stressing it's a much deep-rooted thing.
Yeah.
This needs multiple action on multiple fronts.
Yeah.
You do need the electoral reforms. You do need, this country needs criminal justice reforms. This country needs police reforms. This country needs special laws to protect policemen, enforcing law in this country. And as far as your point regarding guidelines for policemen who enter political arena, I think that is a very valid point, and many of the policemen do seek political blessings, and all these incidents, all these mafias do have political patronage, political connection, and they have access to black money. They know cases will continue for 20-25 years. So that is, I think all this needs to be fought at multiple levels. And for this, not only the highest court of the country had issued an order of police reforms. Even today, after more than 20 years, the reforms have not been implemented. So,
which is a shame. Which is a shame. How do we push that forward? वेद भूषण जी, यहाँ पे काफ़ी सारे सुझाव बाहर निकल के आए हैं, काफ़ी सारे एक्शंस लेने चाहिए, वो लिए नहीं गए हैं, सब पेपर पर लिख दिए गए हैं, इम्प्लीमेंटेशन का समय आया तो सब पीछे हट गए हैं. क्या आपके हिसाब से आगे जाके पॉलिटिकल विल की ज़रूरत है इस समय? और जब पॉलिटिकल क्लास ही इसके अंदर इतनी डीपली इन्वॉल्व है तो एक्शन कौन लेगा? क्या सुप्रीम कोर्ट, हमारी जुडिशरी एक्शन लेगी? यहाँ पे क्या इलेक्टोरल रिफॉर्म्स जिसकी एग्जांपल बाहर निकल के आ रही है वो करना चाहिए? जो पॉलिटिकल इलेक्शन फंडिंग होती है उनके चैनल्स को, फनलिंग को ट्रैक किया जाए तो भी कुछ पुख्ता सबूत बाहर निकल के आएंगे?
उत्तर प्रदेश, पिछली बार जब वहां पर सीएम साहब थे, उन्होंने एक नारा दिया, ठोक दो. बहुत सारी उसकी रिजेंटमेंट हुई कि अननेसेसरी लोगों को एनकाउंटर किया जा रहा है, टांगों पर गोली मारी जा रही है. उसके बाद सेकंड टर्म में उन्होंने कहा कि क्रिमिनल्स को बुलडोज कर दो. उस पर सुप्रीम कोर्ट तक मामला गया. तमाम वर्ग ने, तमाम जो कोर्ट थी, उन्होंने उनको डायरेक्टली इनडायरेक्टली अप्रिशिएट किया कि यही एक तरीका है जिससे कंट्रोल किया जा सकता है तमाम इतने बड़े स्टेट को, जिसका कि एरिया भी कई कंट्री से बहुत ऊपर है. तो हरियाणा तो एक बहुत छोटा सा स्टेट है. यदि विल पावर होगी और इंस्टेंट मैसेज जाना चाहिए क्रिमिनल्स को. यदि अभी थोड़ी देर पहले जो डिस्कशन में चल रहा था कि लीगल प्रोसीजर इतना लंबा है, निर्भया को फांसी देने में 14 साल लग गए, कसाब को फांसी देने में 8 साल लग गए, क्योंकि इट्स ए टाइम कंज्यूमिंग प्रोसेस. कोर्ट दर कोर्ट, तारीख पर तारीख, हाई कोर्ट, सुप्रीम कोर्ट, राष्ट्रपति, फिर वापस रिवीजन पिटीशन. जो इतना लंबा टाइम जो होता है, लोगों का पेशेंस छूट जाता है, लोगों का ट्रस्ट सिस्टम से खत्म हो जाता है. पॉलिटिकल विल की भी जरूरत है और जुडिशरी में जो एक बदलाव की जरूरत है, जो एक प्रोसीजर चेंज करने की जरूरत है. तो कई फ्रंट पर काम करने की जरूरत है, तभी ये तमाम चीजें एक समाज के अंदर, सोसाइटी के अंदर, अक्रॉस कंट्री एक मैसेज जाएगा कि अब ऐसा नहीं चलेगा.
ओके, एलन राव, क्विकली a quick closing comment from you.
Yes, definitely. I agree with Mr. Vaidya's suggestion that the reforms, whatever reforms have been explained, and time to time have been, so many commissions have been formulated and they have given their report. All their reforms have to be implemented, and most important thing that the orders of the honorable courts, High Court, Supreme Court orders should be complied with the political bosses, by the political bosses, and there is a need of our to change our system about the election process, and the politicians who are fighting the elections, their criminalization should be stopped in that, and wherever the nexus of politicians and the mafia comes into effect, that the strict action and the very exemplary action should be taken against all persons who are so far as who are involved in such type of activities. And most important thing, that speedy trial of the cases. That is the most important need of the hour. There should not be delay, so that the people must know what is going. If they are doing any illegal thing, they get a justice as soon as possible. And the delay in justice is definitely giving the people of the criminal mind that they can be scot free by all means because of the delay system is there.
Lakshmi Narayan, at this point of time, me as a citizen of our country, having witnessed these gruesome murders that have taken place in the span of just about 48 hours, police officers being mowed down, I'm also strangely perplexed on the non-reaction of our political heads, whether from Jharkhand or Haryana or Gujarat. Why wouldn't the chief ministers now come over here, make the statements, condemn the act and ask for the speedy trials? And that's exactly is the name of the game. Until and unless there is political will, all these actions, all these statements, all these discussions and arguments and brainstorming is not really going to work. So the question to the Chief Minister of Gujarat, to the Chief Minister of Jharkhand and to the Chief Minister of Haryana. 3 murders have taken place. Why is no voice being raised by the heads of the states in demanding speedy trials?
Yes, definitely. In fact, for political leaders, the life of a cop has no meaning.
How unfortunate.
This is very unfortunate part. I have seen several deaths during my lifetime of these cops in different issues and different circumstances, and hardly a word came from the political leadership. So this is a very unfortunate part. And I again say that if the criminal justice system is reformed thoroughly, perhaps the things may be set right.
I thank all my panelists for joining me on the broadcast. They are all ex-cops. They have endured a difficult life of a policeman, served the country. They know the system inside out. They know the loopholes. They know the problems. They know these nexus and mafia and the political class and the lobbyists that are functioning in tandem to allow for these illegal activities to take place. How unfortunate that it has been decades together. There have been so many lives lost of our brave jawans, of our brave police personnel. But when it comes to action being taken and justice being served, we are lagging in it.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.